Happy Hunger Games! May the odds be ever in your favor.
How Ukraine became the #1 country for corruption, why the president of Ukraine betrayed his own citizens, and how the film The Wolf of Wall Street became a reality for Ukrainians. Watch all of this in this video. I am a slave in my own country, and here are the facts I can no longer keep silent about. First, in our country a girl is considered a person, while a man is considered cannon fodder. Our president claims that no one will be cursed into war.
Ми демократична держава, і ми повинні розвиватися. Ми не можемо показувати приклад, як Росія, заганяти когось палками на війну. Ми не така держава. Тому що це парадокс. Ми воюємо за цінності європейські, і ми хочемо бути членом Європейського Союзу. Тому навіть воювати нам потрібно з такими цінностями.
Yet men are forcibly captured on the streets of various cities to be sent to the front lines. You might say it's necessary to flee this country, but it's not that simple. Exit is closed for men, specifically for regular men. However, the sons of deputies who have left and are vacation abroad.
Син в Україні. Вчиться в Київському університеті.
А донька?
А донька навчалася в Віденському університеті 24.02. Вона сказала, що тато такий складний для час, я не можу продовжити навчання. І перевелася в Київський університет, теж навчається в Київському університеті.
Here girls can leave Ukraine calmly and can easily return if they wish. At the same time, here are photos with captions like "Dekach, draft dodger, these scoundrels decided to leave the country. Here they are, real criminals." While I was editing the video, they posted such an interesting moment on the internet. To understand the situation, they are asking to send money for drones and support the army in all cities of Ukraine because there is a shortage of funds. But why there is a shortage of money, you will find out later. So let's get back to the video. Here we see how those scarce drones are being used to catch their own citizens like dogs and deprive them of their freedom. Also, our president claims
Краще смерть воїна, ніж життя раба.
В Україні не можна просто дихати повітрям. Ми в війні.
Here is how our president sets an example. Keep it up. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. Second, this fact is needed for you to have a better understanding of the situation. The average salary in our country is $200. But here are several photos showing the cost of groceries and apartment rentals. I converted the price into dollars for comparison. By the way, please write in the comments about the prices for groceries and the average salary in your area. As for apartment rentals, I found the cheapest options and their prices are indicated without utility bills. These utility costs are increasing every day, so you can confidently add around $60 to the monthly rental cost. And now the most interesting part. How much do apartments cost in Ukraine? If, for example, you save all the money you earn from a regular job, say $300 per month, you'll be able to save $3,600 in a year without eating and without renting an apartment. It turns out to be just about 21 years. Oh yeah, most likely you'll be able to buy an unfurnished and non-renovated apartment. If you decide to save for a 2-room apartment, it will take you about 36 years. For a 3-room apartment, it will take around 52 years. And if you suddenly want a 4-room apartment, you will need 67 years. Besides this, prices for gas, electricity, and basically everything else are rising every month. I'm dead serious about this. This is happening even during the war, where prices are not supposed to increase. Our authorities have reported on this, but as you've already understood, the words of our government are either negativity or placid bullshit. So now you have a bit of insight into the essence of the game and how everything is arranged. But let's move on. Third, there is an option for men to leave, the cost ranging from $5,000 to $15,000, but it's far from a guaranteed exit. After all, you pay private organizations that explicitly state we do not take responsibility. Whether you want to take the risk or not, no one will give you guarantees.
Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Under these conditions, it's challenging to find such companies, especially without connections. Even if you do find one, it could either be a person specifically planted by the government or simply a scammer. I'll reiterate, you have to pay from $5,000 to $15,000 for just a chance to leave.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
For regular people with a $200 salary, accumulating such an amount is simply impossible. And here is an additional point. If they catch you after you've paid such a huge sum, do you know what will happen to you? Right, they'll send you to the war. And what's happening in our war is... We'll talk about that A bit later, the government said, you must go and die at the front. Obey and comply. Don't want to? We'll make you. Fourth, considering our high prices and low salaries, you might ask, what should one do? And where to work? And I'll tell you where. Be a scammer.
That's a great plan.
I'm not exaggerating right now. In just one city, Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, mind you, there are around 2,000 offices specializing in deceiving people.
Holy fucking shit.
You can't even imagine how easy it is to get into them. Here are live streams recruiting people there, where they openly declare in TikTok, broadcast what you'll be doing, who you'll deceive, and how. To save your time, I will show you 3 individuals who through TikTok attract audiences to such offices. They create various sketches about offices to grab attention, or simply conduct live streams. In some cases, they are invited to podcasts to share a great income opportunity with the audience. As you understand, all of this is done openly with nothing hidden. Mostly they deceive people from Russia. But in the offices with more people, they deceive Kazakhstan and other countries. Even Ukraine. It's just terrible. These offices employ anywhere from 20 to 300 people. Some offices even span several dozen floors. I'll tell you more. Take the Arena City building in the center of Kyiv. The whole city knows that on the 4th floor they sell prostitutes, and prostitution is illegal here. On the 3rd floor they make calls and deceive people, pretending to advise on trading at the stock market.
What do you mean I won't get paid? You deceive the deceiver.
On the 2nd floor, HR personnel work, recruiting newbies. Say you post an ad wanting to work as a programmer, and one of these HR people directly tells you that here is a better option. And now I'll tell you how much money these offices make. On average, an office with 30 employees deceives people out of $1 million to $5 million. You might ask, how is this even possible? And I'll answer. There is a thing called protection. It's when an office pays a percentage, let's say to a deputy, and in turn, that deputy protects the office, and no one touches it. Now I'll tell you the scheme. It's quite simple. Tracking these offices is extremely easy, especially for the deputies in power. They enter such an office and record everything in video, saying that our deputies are good guys, are defending justice. But then the cameras are turned off, and an interesting conversation like this takes place.
И мы начинаем работать как партнеры. И я хочу 50 минут за вход, это для того, чтобы компания заходила. И я хочу конкретно для себя. Тоже каждый месяц какой-то за вход.
Хорошо, я постараюсь нанести.
Вот он закрылся, все, рубль не зарабатывается. Вот тот, который 75 человек, ну это где-то 1-2 рубля в месяц он зарабатывает. И я претендую сейчас на половину от того, что зарабатываю. Везде, куда я не захожу.
Всем вам.
If you think Kyiv is an exception, the entire Ukraine is wrapped up in these offices. Here is an excerpt from a song that spread across the entire internet. Singing about the enormous number of scam offices in the city of Dnieper. You will ask, why do people go there? Why are there so many? And I'll answer. Remember I mentioned the average salary is $200. Well, in these offices, the minimum wage is $500. But that's not all. The percentage from the stolen sum ranges from 10% to 30% on average. Trust me, it's the absolute truth. And people who have seen this video in Ukraine can confirm this. Now, imagine if this happening among regular folks, then what kind of sums are being swindled by deputies?
$22 million in 3 fucking hours!
Fifth, corruption in our country is
Terrible!
I swear, I want to live here and never come back. And yet I was born here. And there are really good people here. I'm sorry, but I can't bear this anymore. So listen carefully. As you all know, our country is receiving millions and billions of money in aid. But there is one small but. As you might have guessed, the money doesn't go to us.
How about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this
Money
disappear. It's gone.
There will be a lot of information. Get ready. Where to start? Let's start with our armed forces. We all love them because they are our protectors, dying for us, dying for our then freedom, so that people can live happily. And now, look here. There are hundreds of videos where soldiers beg the authorities for help. Videos of appeals and accounts of such guys are deleted very quickly. Our warriors themselves claimed that they are threatened by their own commanders for telling the truth. At least for equipment, so they don't have to fight with shovels. The authorities should allocate a budget for such purposes, especially during war. But the reality is that soldiers buy all their equipment themselves with their own money.
What the fuck is this?
Moreover, they buy their own vehicles and repair them. Ordinary people send money to aid funds. Ordinary people donate machines to the soldiers, food, them basically everything they can. And all because the sums that should go to the war are going to the deputies for their wills.
I'm fucking done! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
There is a website called Prozoro. The funniest part is that it's accessible to everyone and you can see where the sums go. Do you know what's funny about it? The fact that the deputies don't care so much that they openly steal money.
What?
For example, during the war, they spent 6 million hryvnias on seedlings, repair roads for 1 billion hryvnias, spent 160 millions on a TV series. I could list this absurdity endlessly. However, in conclusion, I will show the budget for TV series in 2024. And many other useless expenses. The deputies increase their salaries by 400 million hryvnias for 2024, and at the same time, they cancel payments to the disabled.
What the fuck is going on?
Meanwhile, folders send screenshots of payments. For months, a person spent in the hospital due to injuries while defending our country, they received 600 hryvnias in assistance.
Stop it. Get some help.
As you've already understood, money for TV series, seedlings and road repairs is just an excuse to lie in their pockets even more. And these are just hundreds of disclosed items where the money goes. There are thousands more undisclosed. If that's not enough for you, here is the clip where our president is asked where the country's budget goes.
There are a lot of people who say there has been a lot of corruption in this first year and that that's why you are firing.
First of all, you have to know. All these cases are not with the help, are not connecting, not connected with the help of our partners. It's in other cases. It's not about the partners. So
these are Ukrainian funds.
These are Ukrainian cases. But anyway, yes, it doesn't matter for me now.
Think about it. The face of the country, the president, states that the money being stolen isn't European, but specifically Ukrainian.
Welcome to fuck.
You can't imagine how many moments like this there have been in 2 years of war. But unfortunately, this is not all the horror that exists in our country. Sex. In our country, you can be hated, cursed at, and have your family cursed if you communicate in a language other than Ukrainian. This primarily concerns the Russian language. Before the conflict with Russia, which began back in 2014, approximately 70% of Ukraine used Russian, and the remaining 30% who spoke Ukrainian could easily understand someone speaking Russian to them. But from 2014 until February 24, 2022, nobody cared about this. Suddenly Russia attacked, and now you're not allowed to communicate in Russian, even though there is no such law. It's just the opinion of pseudo-patriots that they impose on you. I won't discuss how unintelligent their arguments are. Because of this fact, we got a massive number of videos where people during the war shot at each other because someone communicates in a language they prefer.
Я извиняюсь, вам можно задать несколько вопросов?
Ні, ми розмовляємо українською мовою, ми вашою не розуміємо.
А чому ви спілкуєтесь російською?
Нельзя?
Ні, не можна, тому що ви в Україні.
Я не розумію, що ви сказали. Я не розумію. I can speak English. Ich spreche Deutsch.
A common argument of such individuals is the fact that Russia attacked us, so we have no right to speak Russian. In that case, why are they not against speaking German?
Можу по-польську? Чому ви по-російськи розмовляєте?
Просто.
Тоді ні.
Тільки державною мовою. Не, ответите на несколько вопросов.
Якщо українською, то так.
Що ти хрюкаєш?
If you think this is trivial, you're very mistaken. Here is the video where a man, a soldier of the Ukrainian armed forces, who risked his life protecting civilians, receives insults from those same civilians because he speaks Russian.
Державна мова українська, сфера української мові. Сфера обслуговування на Україні. А ви нас, ми за продавця. Вона не повинна вас обслуговувати.
There are hundreds, thousands of such incidents. Here is a deputy making statements on the internet and television, saying that if you're a soldier of Ukrainian armed forces, risking your life to defend Ukraine from the enemy, but you speak Russian, you're not even worthy of being called Ukrainian.
Але військові, наприклад, полку Азов, з якими я дуже дружу, частина із них спілкується російською, і в бою в тому числі.
Я категорично цього не приймаю. Я не можу назвати їх українцями, якщо вони не говорять українською мовою. То нехай себе назвуть русскими.
I can't believe this. Happy New Year 2024. And I'm recording the video. Almost every video of a Ukrainian speaking Russian has hateful comments because the person is not speaking the language society wants. And all this horror is happening among ourselves in one country that was attacked by an aggressor. And amidst all this, people believe that this issue is more important than the fact deputies are plundering the country, taking away all the money for themselves instead of protecting our own country.
Whoa, whoa. Bravo!
But we move forward. Seventh, there is no war between Ukraine and Russia.
What did you say?
You might have noticed how I always put the word war in quotes. And now I'll explain why. There was no official declaration of war. And for almost 2 years, people have been dying by the thousands, fighting with another country, both civilians and the armies of both countries. And all of this happening without a declaration of war.
No comment.
There is a term for this. Special military operation. It's a term used by Russia. And in our country, the term sounds like martial law. Martial law in our country is repeatedly extended all because it's not profitable for the bottomless money pit to end. Furthermore, presidential decree amendments happen more frequently than you drink coffee. All for the same reason. It's not profitable. But this might not sound convincing. So let me show you something. Our country is governed by the constitution of Ukraine. It's our law above which nothing can exist and nothing can cancel it. And now pay attention here to Article 33 about how everyone can leave Ukraine. There is no law prohibiting men from leaving. Can you imagine how absurd this is in our country? By the way, here is a statement from our president before the war where he says:
Зараз всі новини та інформаційний простір сповнені схожими повідомленнями про війну з Росією, про те, що вторгнення може початись прямо завтра, будь-якої миті, і це вже точно всім ЗМІ бути саме засобами масової інформації, а не масової істерії. В гонитві за хайпом не допомагати ворогу. Повідомляти щодня про те, що війна може бути завтра. Кожен ранок починається з інформації про реальну ситуацію на Донбасі і поблизу наших кордонів. Ми знаємо про всі можливі загрози і розуміємо всі можливі наші дії у відповідь. Що робити вам? Тільки одне. Зберігати спокій, холодну голову, впевненість у своїх силах, у своїй армії, у нашій Україні. Не накручувати самих себе, на все реагувати мудро, не кричати «все пропало», а знати, що все під контролем і все йде по плану. Не думати тривожно і постійно, що ж буде завтра, що ж буде в майбутньому, а знати. Розповідаю. 22 січня ми з вами відзначимо День Соборності України. За рік збудуємо найбільшу трасу в Україні від Ужгорода до Луганська. В травні, як завжди, сонце, вихідні, шашлик, День перемоги. А далі зима. І будемо готуватись до новорічних свят. Як завжди, я цього року, 31 грудня, усією родиною зберемося за столом. І я впевнений, що у новорічному зверненні я скажу, дорогі українці, я ж говорив, ви молодці. Ми не панікували, не піддавалися на провокації, ми були спокійними, сильними і зустрічаємо наступний новий рік без паніки, без страху.
And here are his words after the war began. Here we see how the president of Ukraine continues to make excuses that he is not to blame and that he was simply not told the exact date of the attack. But here is the president address 10 days before the invasion.
Нам кажуть, що 16 лютого стане днем нападу. Ми зробимо його днем єднання. Відповідний указ я вже підписав. Цього дня ми вивісимо національні прапори, вдягнемо синьо-жовті стрічки та покажемо всьому світу нашу єдність.
Look at the scenes of Mariupol, Bucha, and so on. And now see what question the journalist asked the president and what response followed.
Моє питання в тому, що рік тому у січні, коли США та НАТО попереджали про повномасштабне вторгнення росіян, ви закликали українців тримати холодну голову і зберігати холодну голову, не піддаватись на провокації. Чи шкодуєте ви про це своє звернення, про те, що жодного нападу не буде? І чи вбачаєте ви персональну відповідальність за те, що громадяни належним чином не були повідомлені про реальні загрози?
Дякую за вашу доповідь. Дуже приємно. Мені здалося, що я тут був з 24 числа, нікуди не дівся. І мені здається, це важливо, що ми не втратили державу. І так, це завдяки народу України. І завдяки нашим Збройним силам. Напевно, і завдяки трошки мені. Як би вам це неприємно було чути. Так вважають багато людей. А вже ж не всі. І я ніякий не герой. Але, напевно, я хоч щось зробив. Ось таким же ж, який є президент. Ось така моя відповідь.
Zelensky just avoided the answer. Here is the president states that if you don't like something, you chose me? It's your choice.
Для мене честь бути президентом. Ну, а там далі люди вирішують, люди бачать, як я працюю, як я служу Україні. Якщо не подобається, ну, зрозуміло, ну, це вибір українців. Ну, нормально.
If we summarize who the president of Ukraine is,
У нас рабства немає. У нас демократичне суспільство. Коли люди хочуть поїхати, їм потрібно поїхати. Вони можуть собі це дозволити, і це нормально.
Bullshit.
Все під контролем. І все йде по плану. А знати. Розповідаю. 22 січня ми з вами відзначимо День Соборності України. За рік збудуємо найбільшу трасу в Україні від Ужгорода до Луганська. В травні, як завжди, сонце, вихідні, шашлик, День перемоги.
Bullshit.
В Маріуполі, правда, стогнали будинки тижнями, поки ті люди там привалені. Вони помирали там від голоду, від кровотечі.
І я впевнений, що у новорічному зверненні я скажу, дорогі українці, я ж говорив, ви молодці. Ми не панікували, не піддавалися на провокації, ми були спокійними, сильними і зустрічаємо наступний новий рік без паніки, без страху.
Bullshit.
Доведеться поставити собі питання, хто я? Зробити вибір, яким я хочу бути? Жертвою чи переможцем? Біженцем чи громадянином?
Eighth, people who have left the country, whether it was done legitimately or not, upon their return to Ukraine, face punishment.
You stupid.
This is what our country's authorities are writing about. Not encouragement, but punishment. Just think about it. You've left the country because you don't want to be here. When rockets are flying, people are dying, and corruption is arguably the strongest in the entire world. And now, if you decide to come back, you're screwed.
Sometimes my genius is... It's almost frightening.
I feel like this is some lunatic nonsense or a plot in some game. But this is life in my country, yeah! Ninth, for wanting to stay alive, you've been cursed by most women who literally write everywhere what you should do. I'm not a woman hater or a sexist. I'll just show you this. The thing is, such women take advantage of the fact that they can leave the country. They don't have to go and die in a war. So it's the man who's supposed to do all that, not them. Moreover, most of them left abroad and write this from there. Seriously, when you say you don't want to serve, don't want to defend the interest of deputies, don't want to risk your life and just play in fear, you're risking conjuring a huge number of instructions on what you must do because you are a man. And such individuals often abandon their men, their husbands, and simply marry men from another country to gain citizenship. Amazing.
Absolutely.
10th, at night you can easily wake up because a shell or a drone hit your neighbor's window. Even in Kyiv, this is not uncommon. It's a usual situation to wake up in 3 in the morning or 5 in the morning from the sound of a siren or an explosion. But during the day, everyone lives as if nothing is happening. They just walk around with dissatisfied faces because the fatigue from all this negativity affects people. Even the sound of a siren during the day for an ordinary Ukrainian is just an ordinary melody to which they go to work for $200. Eleventh, blackout. In winter, you might sit without electricity for 12 hours. My record is 3 days without electricity. This is pizdets. Not because of airstrikes, but simply because the leaders of our country decided to sell electricity abroad at a profitable price. Or maybe there is simply no budget left, as their budget for the country goes into their pockets. Meanwhile, they pour crap into people's ears like, we'll manage, we're young, we're one country. I hate this hypocrisy. By the way, here are a couple of contradictions from the authorities of our country. For instance, DTEC, a company that supplies electricity to the country, a private company. DTEC says it's all great, we fixed everything, ready for winter. While a deputy says, the situation couldn't be worse. Everything is bad in Ukraine, we haven't updated anything.
That man's an imposter.
That man is the imposter.
12. In Ukraine, as of 2001, if a woman gave birth to a child, they were given 1050 hryvnias per month, which was $200 at that time. The figures in the information at the time vary greatly, so don't pay attention. The main fact is that corruption was lower, prices were lower, and therefore life was simpler. Now pay attention. They give only 850 hryvnias. This is $30. This is less than the cost of a pack of diapers. And the deputies laughed.
860 гривень на місяць. Памперси 1850 гривень упаковка. І це памперси, які коштують вдвічі більше, ніж те, що ми даємо.
Олексій, я й не знав, що ви спеціаліст в памперсах, ви тут шикарно себе проявляєте. Комітету хочете відреагувати?
Олексій Олексійович, відпустіть мене підвищувати народжуваність.
Fucking ugly bitch.
But this is not the funniest part. Let's set a separate point for this. 13th. Jokes. No, I'm not a racist. Let's start with the fact that the president of our country is a comedian by profession and also happens to be Jewish. These are facts, not insults. Just for you to understand. Jews are given 20,000 hryvnias for coming here, and the family that shelters a Jew is given 10,000 hryvnias. Just think about it. In Israel, there is an official war, yet the borders are not closed, so that Jews can calmly come to Ukraine, where there is no official war, yet the borders are closed. Here is a striking funny joke. In Ukraine, we don't celebrate our own holidays because we are at war. Yet symbols of Jews and their holidays are displayed across all cities in Ukraine. Bruh. Do they celebrate Ukrainian holidays in Israel? Who the hell celebrates anything while hundreds of thousands are dying and they're celebrating holidays from another country? Stupid. 14th. During the war, our people, our citizens, are forced to attend rallies in the country's center to ask the deputies to stop stealing. Or at least reduce the amount stolen, because it would be better to allocate those funds to the armed forces to protect Ukraine. And here's what our mayor of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, thinks about it.
Хлопці в віці від 20 до 40 років зараз приходять і кажуть гроші на ЗСУ. Вони морально підтримують. Якщо серце болить, чому не одягають військову форму, не захищають країну?
But even here, there is a strange aspect. The mayor says they come to him personally, but that's not true. These are our rallies in the city center. They didn't come to you. They're shooting out to the entire country. That one can't just stay silent. Do you know why the mayor of the Ukrainian capital say that? Because these rallies are being hidden from the public. They won't show them on TV, just like violence against men, corruption, and so on. 15th. The situation worsens every day. I'm already tired of all this negativity. I want to live peacefully and respect my country, not feel ashamed. This is not just my perspective, it's a fact that resides in the mind of any reasonable Ukrainian. You can't imagine how much negativity there is in the comments under any post related to deputies, money, salaries, loves, and so on.
My life be like.
Just imagine living every day reading about how your own Ukrainians have again robbed their own country and Russia has killed a couple of thousand people. Then, on the way to work for $200, you think about how you might be forcibly shoved into a car where they threaten you just so you can sign a couple of documents and become cannon fodder, sacrificing yourself for the government's interests. 16th. While writing these points, new interesting information emerged. Checkpoints have been set up across cities where they stop everyone and issue summons if you fail to appear or pass the commission at the military enlistment office. Here is a list of restrictions.
Barbecue, bacon, burger.
Я вважаю, що вся країна має воювати. От вся. Повністю не 500 тисяч, а 40 мільйонів.
Тезиси, наприклад, хай йдуть воюють поліцейські, чи хай йдуть воюють депутати. Ну, це неправильні тезиси, на мою думку. Депутатів там мало, з них толку не буде.
These notifications of wonderful news just came in. Hopefully, the situation has become even clearer. Thank you, their country. Or is it better to say prison? 17th. It hasn't been a day since a new funny piece of news emerged. Just think about it. The government is building a road for 2 billion hryvnias and embezzling the budget by increasing the salaries of deputies. But of course, they are not to blame for everything. It's the pensioners' fault. By the way, our pensioners' pensions start from 1,800 hryvnias. You might think that the length of service affects this, but no. I've seen multiple times how grandmothers with 30 to 40 years of service receive such a huge pension. Why not delay the payment of these pennies? How will the deputies manage without their villas? The other day, I was at the checkout and in front of me was a grandmother buying cookies and milk. She opened her purse and took out everything she had, which was, for your understanding, 150 hryvnias. This grandmother decided to give herself a gift for the new year, spending her last money. Of course, I left the storage, shut up with her, and gave her 200 hryvnias. Okay, I understand how it sounds. However, sorry, but I'm not Mr. Beast yet. Saying that she needs it more. And such pensions are unacceptable. You should have seen her reaction. It was just 200 hryvnias, but tears appeared in her eyes. It was hard for me to see that. So after wishing her a good day, I stepped back about 20 meters. I turned around and she was still standing in the same place, looking at those 200 hryvnias. Words cannot convey how sad it is. And this is not an isolated case. This is the reality for our pensioners. I'm sharing this situation not to boast, but to make you understand that this horror affects every Ukrainian. What I'm telling you now are just the facts. On the surface, there is a lot more we don't know. I don't even know if they'll let me record this video at all, or if they'll continue to release news day after day, each one worse than the other. 18th, they've just released the next piece of news. Which is not just surprising. It reminds us that for the deputies of our country, a Ukrainian is merely an animal that should be kept in a pen. Remember how I mentioned the cost of living in Ukraine, what risks it entails, the money and so on? Well, look at the draft law they've submitted for consideration.
What the hell? Є такий момент, наприклад, якась людина виїхала. І ми зараз говоримо, що вона виїхала, вона знаходиться за кордоном. І вона отримує підтримку від Німеччини. І ми дякуємо за те, що ви підтримуєте наших громадян. Але буває так, що, як вам сказати, і ця людина отримує підтримку і від вас, і від нас. Ну, так буває.
And here is the most interesting part. That doesn't happen. People don't receive assistance from Ukraine. At least because the government doesn't care about its citizens. And at most because it's a refugee. All your accounts are tracked and you can't receive additional assistance. Zelensky certainly knows this. So he immediately tries to get out of the situation.
Я зараз не про наших українців в Німеччині. Я вам узагальнюю це. What? І тому я завжди говорив, що для нас набагато краще, якщо б Німеччина, вона б підтримувала українців, вдаючи гроші в бюджет України. А потім Україна вже б перерозподіляла ці гроші в залежності, де знаходиться ця людина.
For your convenience, I'll translate this phrase. I can't steal money abroad. I need you to send it directly to me. And then I'll figure it out. What do you think about that? People who have left the country have struggled immensely and still feel pressure from Ukraine. Just think about it. There is literally an official slave, be informed, who has no right to live. They are just a puppet that needs to be put in place. I'm tired of listing all this horror that lies on the shoulders of Ukrainians. Who would have thought that after years people would hate the place they were born? 19th. I really wouldn't want to believe this. However, there is a high probability that the war between Russia and Ukraine is one big agreement. There are many rumors circulating about this, but consider this. After a huge amount of barbaric news from the authorities, it's evident that the order in the country is hanging by a thread. At any moment, the people are ready to rise up against the deputies. What happens immediately? Right, suddenly one of the biggest bombardments of Ukrainian cities in the entire history of the war happens. But that's not even the most interesting part. The bombardment of course occurred. The president, our white and fluffy one, once again throws in notes of motivation that we will retaliate and let's all fight against Russia, thus keeping the people in check. But the most interesting thing is that the bombardments always target only the civilian population. Not once during the entire war have rockets been aimed at Konchazaspa, the most expensive village in Ukraine, where millionaires and billionaires reside. Moreover, not once have there been any landings, or in general rockets fired, at the government quarter. A remarkable coincidence. Regarding trade, I won't say much because I can't peer into the dark side, but there is something interesting. Consider this. When this news started circulating on the internet, the deputies said it meant nothing and it wasn't true, but no one refuted it with any documentation. Instead, materials were leaked on the internet, showing materials being redirected to Russia, throwing an intermediary country. We won't delve deeper, because all of this is being carefully concealed, but the strongest evidence, in my opinion, is that the front line remains stagnant, or even shifts in our direction, that Zelensky refuses negotiations, claiming the people are against it. Thus, here is the opinion of the people. He perfectly understands that the situation is getting worse and that you can't win by the number of wars. There are 144 million people against 44 million people. And even after such loss in Ukraine, there are around 25 million people left. Meanwhile, in Russia, even the borders aren't closed. But this is just one puzzle piece. All the deputies leading our country feel great. They party, laugh, buy houses for themselves, all the while sending everyone else to war. In addition to this, all wars end with negotiations. But why announce negotiations when it's easier to steal the country's budget while there is still a chance? After all, the families of the deputies and they themselves have nothing to fear. Everything is paid for. 20s. Let's play the trump card. I'm already fed up with writing the script while I'm sitting here feeling negative from head to toe and so on. They released yet another wonderful piece of news. Not they're not allowing men to leave the country, even with documents for disability. With documents proving you're a volunteer. To cut a long story short, listing it all would take long. None of the documents that use it to help are valid anymore. I feel less and less like a human being. Previously, such documents were bought for $15,000. That was one of the options. And now even that's blocked. I'm already dreaming of shooting a video of me living here. By the way, the last law we'll talk about.
Denied.
Imagine you're just living your life, not knowing anything, and suddenly all your accounts are frozen, everything you own is taken away, you're fined, or even thrown in jail. And all because you received an electronic summons that you didn't even open or see. Excellent. And the final fact. Once I loved this country, these people, and rejoiced in being Ukrainian. But now, with pain in my heart, I regret being born here. I have expressed this because I'm tired of holding it all inside. I want to always remember the state I was in and the country I lived in. My dream is to get to America and savor the scent of freedom. It's really hard for me to shoot this video and move forward. Because in my country, a man's common state is apathy. You never know if you'll wake up alive tomorrow. It's scary for me to shoot this video as I am currently in Ukraine. But unfortunately, I've only spoken the truth through the eyes of a Ukrainian. Thank you for your attention.